Hello, beautiful souls. How are you today? Can you believe it's October 11th, 2023? It's so surreal when I look at the date sometimes to actually think about where I was October of last year, um, October of previous years. October's always been a huge month for me. Um, Energetically, there's always been something going on. It's not always been positive, but it's always been something that actually ushered in more soul growth for me. And so, and I love fall. I love all things fall. And so, I love this time of year typically. And it's really hard, to feel the joy sometimes because there's so much heaviness around us. And that's by design. So I wanted to come on today to try my very best to give you some words of encouragement, some guidance, maybe some long overdue guidance. Maybe you've never heard this message before. Um, Maybe some things in here might be one phrase, might be one word, catches your attention. And I don't want you to talk yourself out of the feeling that you get with it. Um, Everything in our entire universe is vibration, resonance, frequency. Everything. We're energy bodies. So whenever a message comes through, and it resonates with your system, with your energy body, that's how you know it rings true. That's where that saying comes from. Oh, that rings true. Well, what rings? Bells, music, sound, the frequency. The frequency ushers in our truth. It's much more impactful than tuning into something and being told that you should believe it because everyone does. And if you don't believe it, then you're not falling in with everyone. Heaven forbid you forge your own path and you cut down the trees that are in your way and you make sense of the chaos. It's really important that we don't lose sight of who we truly are. Sorry, I had to take a break to handle my dog. This cold weather has them all frisky. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so what I've been asked to share is straight from source creator because, we live lives so that source creator can feel what it's like to embody this dimension and other dimensions. He lives vicariously through us and our experiences. Sorry, the fan's blowing my hair. And so as we experience the density and the difficulty and the negativity that comes our way in massive amount every single day, it's realized on a completely different level how we have all been manipulated to forget that we were ever powerful beings. We were all manipulated to believe that we could only do and see and think and feel a certain thing with permission. And that's just not the truth. So I want to bring some things to life, like I said before. Perhaps this is the first time you're hearing it. Perhaps this is the first time it's resonating with you. And that's okay. Today is a great day to start taking your ascension journey seriously and putting your own soul first. That's perfectly okay. So ascension is a journey. It's a journey full of immense highs and immense lows where we are straddling the third dimension, the fourth dimension, and the fifth dimension, trying our very best to give thanks to the messages that come through, even though they're difficult to hear. Grasp the lesson that's for us and let the rest of it go so we don't get bogged down in the density of whatever that event was. Most of our lessons come through less than desirable events. And that's whenever we have to look at the bright side. People say, gosh, what's the bright side of this? How could there be a bright side? There's always a bright side. It's usually within you. It's not usually given to you from another being. It's usually uncovered whenever you clear out the shadows within your own being, within your own energy body. That's where you find the light. That's the bright side. So we have to understand that when we wake up in the morning and you are a of the light soul being, source light, your body wakes up in the morning and you feel like you've been running a marathon or you've been very, very active in your sleep. Depending on what your abilities are, you can wake up and feel like you have a sore throat because you've been yelling all night. You might have been. If you live alone, it's going to be hard to determine that. But if you have other beings in your home, many times they come and rat you out and they go, "Who's so and so? I keep hearing you say this name all night long," or something that clues you in. And then all of a sudden you start to put dots connected, and you're like, okay, so I woke up feeling like I had been doing something. And then so and so said they heard me in the night, wondering what I was doing. Don't talk yourself out of the magic and the miracles. So we rest our bodies, we rest our avatars at night. Our consciousness leaves our body because it's this dense matter that needs to sleep. Our consciousness doesn't take naps. We rest our mind at times, but that energy body doesn't need to take a nap. So whenever you lay your head on the pillow, in the astral, you go to work. We go to work. We have lots of things that we do that make impactful changes all over the universe. And so when you wake up in the morning and you feel like you've been doing a lot, you have been. You have been. You don't need anybody else to corroborate that, but you can. You can ask. Especially if you're clear and you can ask your higher self, hey, was I on a mission last night? You might have had a vision. You might have seen a mountain. You might have seen the ocean. You might have been in the water. You might have been a dolphin. You might have been a different life form in a different galaxy. All absolutely plausible, possible. Stop talking yourself out of the magic and the miracle. You see, as we have grown up in this dense planet, we've been told over and over again, that's just your imagination. That's just your imagination. Oh, you're hearing voices? Are you schizophrenic? I mean, it's so easy these days to label someone with a mental health diagnosis because of a lack of understanding that we're all born with abilities, and those abilities sometimes are clairaudient. So you hear the voices of your messengers. That's not a psychiatric defect. It's a gift that you were born with. Just like claircognizance, which is my strongest ability, where I just have the knowing of things that I couldn't possibly know in this lifetime dropped into my psyche, into my being. And I mean, I know it. Like I know it beyond a shadow of a doubt. I know it like I know my name. And so it's not from context of learning in this dimension. It's called universal knowledge. Our soul has the wealth of knowledge from all of our lives and all of our collective guides, ascended masters, archangels. They send us messages. And so we know what we know because we have a spirit team that helps us figure things out, especially things that are trying to deceive us, things that are trying to bring us in a way that is less than above board, less than true. So the manipulation of the mind starts usually by our parents. They didn't know what they didn't know. And for any caregiver or adult or person of power to tell us that what we're seeing, thinking, feeling, hearing is not real, it's your imagination, or it's you being crazy, doesn't really foster the self-confidence to continue to embrace your abilities. And so the mind manipulation starts in the home, usually at a very young age. And so we get talked out of the magic and the miracle when we're little. And only those that are really, really, really strong and are sometimes in a family that's supportive can foster those abilities throughout their childhood. most people have to be quiet about it. They can't talk about it because otherwise they'll get put on medication and the magic and the miracle gets numbed and goes away because the energy and the frequency drops too low to have it. So we are never alone. Whenever we may feel alone, when we feel like we're in this physical space by ourselves, energetically, you have always had help. We're born with 1, 2, 3 archangels, angelic guides, um, guides that are usually family members that have passed on and transition that have chosen to come back and help guide you. We're all born with fire dragons. We're born with love dragons. We're born, if you are from the elemental realm, you have elementals that are always wanting to help you. And what are elementals? Fairies, pixies, elves. Yeah, they're real and they're always around and they just cannot come in and just bowl you over. You have to, again, the law of consent, you have to ask for their help. But as soon as you ask, acknowledge them and their benevolence, they're more than willing to help guide you when no one else is. So the people in your physical space can definitely be working against you while the energetic beings in your energetic field are working with you and for you. And that all, how do you know? You say, oh, how do I know? How should I trust an energetic being and not trust my mom? Well, you have to be clear and you have to be in tune with source creator. So then you can ask a very, very basic question. Does this being that's trying to get me to believe blah, 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 are they in my highest and best good? You're going to get a yes or a no. And if you have any doubts, that's what we do. We confirm with other people, especially sensitive topics. We're not going to just be like, oh, yeah, source says do this, and I'm going to go ahead and go jump off a cliff because source said so. That's usually trickster energy. So we always want to confirm big things, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. The magic and the miracles are real. It just depends on how you will embody it and what will you do with it. So we do the work for the greater good every single night. We are source light. We are basically the warriors for source creator. We work with the angels, the archangels. We work with the ascendant masters. And we have always had these missions, no matter if it's this incarnation, prior incarnation. Everything that we've ever done has been for a specific mission, a specific purpose. Even my negative polarity lives. It was because it set up lessons and opportunities to understand the beauty and the power of the light. You cannot fully appreciate the light without the darkness. If the light is always on, how do you appreciate what it brings? When the lights go out and everything is super dark and you struggle to see with your eyes, you have to go by your senses. So you close your eyes and you can feel the area around you. And then all of a sudden, you go a little bit deeper. And so you're not so superficial. And you realize that in the darkness, you can still find your way because you have gnosis. You have this intuitive knowing. You can feel, you can use your senses. You can use touch, sound. So it's not any different than whenever you're being blinded from the truth in society. We always say go within. And that looks the same. Close your eyes to what's being shown to you because they're showing you what they want you to believe. And understand that the truth is a little bit deeper. On the surface, we are not being given the truth. We have to go within and we have to know on a soul level what the truth really is. The truth is far more beautiful, far more intricate, and much more powerful than any of the bullshit they keep feeding us as truth. It's not. What we bring and embody as light workers, way showers, starseed, we are the ones that raised our hand, volunteered to come down to this dimension again and help. It's not easy. This life is not a cakewalk. It's the hardest dimension to exist in. And it doesn't matter what kind of being you are, it's the hardest dimension to exist in because everyone has to straddle the different dimensions that are at play in this one plane. So when we're made to feel like our life is a joke, or that what we think and feel and hear and sense is not real, and you know it is absolutely real, it's the most real thing that you've ever encountered. You have choices to make, don't you? Am I going to choose to let these people bully me into believing what they believe because they're uncomfortable with the truth? Because that's really what it comes down to. So many people are waking up to truth and they don't know where to go because the people around them are not receptive to truth. They're only receptive to the narrative. They're only receptive to what's comfortable. And even what's uncomfortable has been accepted because it's being accepted in mass amounts. Well, why do you think that is? Well, the 50% of beings that surround us that don't possess soul are being fed their negative AI computer programming to shove it down our throats that we have to accept it. And if you don't accept it, then you're evil. If you don't accept it, then you don't love your neighbors. If you don't accept it, then you're not a good person. And it's all lies. It's trying to get us to forget that we are the powerful beings, that we are the source light beings. And it is that that leads us to the golden age of miracles, not negative AI. You have to make choices and you have to stand up in your choices. You have to enforce your boundaries. You have to realize that what people come at you hard and heavy, it's usually because they have an agenda. The truth comes in as a whisper. It's very soft, and you have to work to find it. It's there. If you're lazy and you're non-committed and you just want to take what comes your way, like a leaf floating on the water, oh, look, this pretty leaf that came my way. It did. What are you going to do with it? Just going to let it float on by? You're going to pick it up and you're going to look for something deeper. There's always some truth in the messages that come out. You got to look deeper to find it. It's not on the surface. Our souls know what the divine path is, and the human mind and ego is very rarely in sync with our soul until we have it out, and we remind our ego that you do not control me, and we remind the mind you're only a part of this matter that I possess. But the decision maker should be the heart and the soul. The mind should be consulted last, because the mind, like I said before, has the most manipulated part of our being because it starts at such a young age. And most people that manipulate our minds don't really understand that they too are products of manipulation. They're just doing what they believe and what they think is right and what they have believed for a long time. The narrative has supported it for so long that they feel certain in their beliefs and we feel certain in ours. And so there's going to be a divergence there because there has to. The two don't exist together. Only for the time for you to figure out which end is up, which way you're supposed to go. So once we truly accept our lives, and that means accepting all of the facets of our life. Okay, it's a lot more than where you grew up and what you do for a living and where you went to college and like that kind of stuff. Like those are matrix things that really don't matter. It's usually been part of your soul contract to provide you with opportunities to learn and evolve, but it is not the culmination of your life. It's not. It's sold that way, but it's really not. So we understand that we have guidance that comes through. So we have our spirit team, which is your angels, your archangels, your ascendant masters, source creator, mothersophia, that whole line. You've got your familial guides, so passed on grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever that may be. You've got your own intuition, which comes from deep within and cannot be manipulated. It really only gets ignored when your mind and your ego overrule your intuition. Your intuition should be honored in all aspects. That's that gut feeling. And whenever you understand that the guidance is in your highest and best good that comes in, your higher self doesn't have an agenda. Your higher self is your God source present. And it is the culmination of the wisdom from all of your incarnations and all of the lives and all the lessons you've already learned to this point. So you can tap into that wisdom to help you navigate this life. And whenever you fully accept that it is not your mind that makes the plan that is a success, but the soul contract that you contracted for this life before you ever made an arrival here, before you ever had your first breath, honoring that soul path, honoring the guidance that comes in to keep you on that path is where you find fun and you feel fulfilled and you feel that your faith has been restored. And that comes with this fantastical bliss because it's pure, it's true, and it comes from within. And you connect on a level that you've never connected for any matrix thing before. And so it's profound. And it helps to motivate you and keep you on that divine path. That's why we say you should be in tune with your intuition, because it's that feeling that helps to guide us toward, yes, this feels good, this feels right, this feels true, away from things that feel scary and makes us anxious and makes us nauseated and gives us a really sick feeling or headache. That's where we're not supposed to be. You're not really supposed to push through with it. So we, as the source light beings, have that direct connection to source. Our messages are going to come typically however your abilities are strongest. So some will only have one clair ability, some have all five of the main clair abilities. There's more than that, but it's five are the main ones. So clairaudient is hearing, clairsentient feeling. So you'll get like the cold chills with a yes. Like that, it's like full body yes. Claircognizant is the knowledge that drops in. Clairfacient is the smell. So you may have this comforting smell of gingerbread cookies baking, or this smell of burnt singed hair. Like that's a no, and the gingerbread cookies are a yes, like a good and a bad. And then clairvoyant, that's seeing. So you'd see visions. You won't have the context of the when and the where, but you can put the pieces together with asking questions of your higher self, source creator, and your guides. So once you recognize that what you've been ignoring is your clair abilities, trying to help you navigate your life, a whole nother aspect of living opens up. And yeah, there are things you have to do to maintain your safety and to protect your energy field, because we're light beings. We are trapped because not everyone produces the light and the power that we do. That's just a fact. I'm not saying that I am better than anyone else. All I'm saying is that I have a very high frequency and I have a very high light capacity because I have worked for that. So if another light being is not doing their shadow work and they're full of shadows and distortions, their light is going to be dimmer than mine. That's just a fact. So once we accept that, we can tune in to that guidance, and then we are less impressionable. We are harder to bully around. It's easier to navigate the chaos of this world that has been very, very orchestrated to keep us off balance. So once you realize that you have and have always had a soul plan for this life called your soul contract, and you tap into that and you understand the trajectory and the choices before you, it's easier to navigate all the craziness. You're like, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. That's for other people that need to be woken up. That's for other people that need to recognize this craziness and pushes them to make a decision. I've already made mine, and mine is of the light, and mine is to love. Mine is to have compassion and empathy, and to do my very, very best to be in that space every single day. And it makes a huge difference how you process the energies that come along with the chaos. Okay? There's always chaos that's being generated, and it's for a purpose. It's so that we don't know which end is up. It's so that whenever we're trying to get our footing and our grounding, we don't stop to think about how it feels. You're in that fight or flight mentality. We don't live that way. I don't live that way. I don't have fear. I don't fear things anymore because I understand reality and I understand the concepts of life a whole lot better than I used to. And I used to think I knew a lot, and I didn't know anything about any of this until I really started to work at it. It's not something that just comes because I put my head on the pillow and I ask for it. I have to work at it. And I have to work all the time to maintain my clarity because other things would love to distract me. I don't allow it. So our source light, again, is something that people want to take from us because they can't produce their own power. They don't have a soul, or maybe they're dark and they want what we provide to power their nefarious acts. So you need to know who you're dealing with in your life. If you already know that you're dealing with people that are not in your highest and best good and you continue to engage with them, that's your choice and that's your consequence. So you want a better life, you want less drama, you want to have people around you for the right reasons. You got to make some choices, and they're not going to be easy, but they're what's in your highest and best good. And then you have to follow through in enforcing those boundaries. So when we see the term complete package, sounds like a really good thing, right? They're the complete package. You've heard that talk about athletic aspects or different beings. They bring forth the complete. Well, that's how we're seen galactically. We are human beings with source light energy and frequency, with our abilities and free will choice. And not everything in that package is available to other beings, and certainly not other space races. So to understand that we have immense, infinite power, divine protection, divine abilities, and free will choice, that's what gives us the power. That's why we are sought after throughout the universe. That's why people want what we have. And that's why the controllers wanted to always keep us from realizing what we have. You see, when people don't understand how powerful they are, they can be easier manipulated. So whenever you're told as a child that you're crazy, that it's just your imagination, who do you think you are? You're nothing special, things like that. It's for a reason to keep us thinking that we're small and that we don't actually have power to make change in a positive way, or to change our circumstances, or to change the trajectory of our lives. That is the truth. When we realize who we are, why we're here, and where we're headed, that you are a part of an entire soul family that is all working for the greater good of humanity, to elevate the frequency and have golden age of miracles for everyone, abundance for everyone, love for everyone, empathy, compassion, and healing. Of course, the controllers don't want us to know that. Of course, they don't want you to believe that. Doesn't make it untrue. It just means it's us against them, and we are winning. You're not crazy. You're not mental. You have telepathy. You have clairabilities. You have clairvoyance. You have the ability to use telekinesis, and you can astral travel at whim. You're not misguided. You're a powerful warrior for the light. Embrace that. Understand your power and what you can do with it to facilitate positive change. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Be it. It starts with you. That's what we're all asked to do. We come into this life voluntarily with amnesia. And we're asked to, in the darkest days, in the most painful moments, to realize that we came in maybe without our memories, but we have our soul. And as long as we have our source light, we can always find our way back to the truth and who we really are. That's what we're asked to do. Every single one of us. It is a journey. It's not a destination. How far do you want to go? How high do you want your frequency to rise? How quickly do you want to ascend? It is the journey that you decide to take. When we treat our children that they are there for us to just be little slaves, for lack of a better term, when we don't give them the respect that they also deserve for bringing to the table what they bring, that they're just silly and they're just this and that. Well, what they are is they're innocent and they're close to source and they have their abilities and they're not being filtered. And so they see the angels, they see the fairies, they speak to the ascended masters, they see them, they feel them, they hear them. Honor that. Do your very, very best to do things differently than your parents did. And honor those little beings because they are bringing to us the lessons that we are aspiring to get back to. They're closest to it. They have less to change, but are as effective than we are. So if I ask you to do one thing, it's to change your vocabulary. Words have power. So try not to be one that uses the term crazy and weak and fairy tales and stupid and mental when regards to beings that are sharing their truth. Understand that it's real. It's as real as the nose on my face. For me to get a download from Source Creator is absolutely real. It happens all the time, multiple times a day. I get downloads from my Source Father. Many, many Ascendant Masters all the time. So when we talk ourselves out of the magic and the miracles that's been happening ever since we took our first breath, it's easy to discount that this is real. The moment that you see something, that it really is something that you cannot explain away, you don't feel right explaining it away as well. Like you understand that the energies that have been coming in have been doing so to increase our frequency so that we recognize truth easier. And we can communicate about it easier. And we're drawn to those who can communicate about it. And we shun those who are negative and who don't want to communicate about it. You see that you recognize these changes and your entire landscape changes. People that you identified with before, you cannot find one common thread with now. It's okay. That's part of the byproducts of ascension. You let go of the non-serving people, places, and things in your life, and you only navigate toward those that serve your highest best good. It's not really selfish. It's self-care. It's self-love. It's having compassion for your own soul and your soul contract. If you starve yourself of that compassion and healing and empathy and self-love, then that's exactly what you're going to create in your life. You're going to feel completely alone. because you have made choices that starves your soul of the healing and the empathy and the shadow work and the compassion that you deserve. So understand, many, many times, I've been there. We make decisions that create an environment that fosters us to feel alone. So you have the choice to change your reality. It sounds completely unbelievable based on how we were raised and what we were taught, but it is absolutely true. Except that you are seeing the chaos. You're feeling it in a different way than you ever felt before. There's these nagging feelings you can't explain away. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to accept that majority of what you've been told, taught, shown are very deep, convoluted, intentional lies, and it covers all aspects of our life. That's going to take a minute to sink in. When I had that moment, I was pretty much a zombie for about 3 weeks. And I kept thinking, how can everyone not? It's one of those things, like, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's hard to fathom how other people haven't seen it yet. But it truly is an individual journey. And whenever you start to wake up, it is your journey. No one gets to decide what it looks like for you. There are things you can do to help it along the way. And that's what I bring to the table. So, step 2, if you missed it, step 1, accept the lies are deep, convoluted, intentional in all aspects of our life. Step 2, choose to be the change that we are all craving. It sounds like, okay, great. So I choose to be a better person. What's that going to do about Susie down the block that keeps dumping her trash in my yard? I don't know. Bad example, whatever. You are only in control of you. So you want to approach things in a way, like I said, words have power. You want to approach things in a way that invite in the power of positive change. So I would love to invite you, Susie, to use the trash can at the end of your driveway before you take off driving down the street and decide that you need to clean your car out on my property. I would love for you to do that. See how that sounds completely different than other things you could say? Third step, choose to love, capital L, capital O, capital V, capital E, love yourself more today than you ever did before. And keep choosing you every single day. Our entire world has been manipulated to think that ourselves don't matter in the day-to-day, that we're supposed to get up and give time, our creativity, our energy, our presence to everything and everyone that has their hand out. And at the end of the day, we feel completely depleted, uncared for, unappreciated, disrespected. And it's because we allow it. We've allowed it because it's been shoved down our throats that it's what we're supposed to do. And it keeps us feeling small and frustrated and disempowered. And that is by design. As I said before, we are the most powerful beings in the universe. We just have to choose to embrace it. So when you choose to love yourself and give yourself care and take your shoes off and go walk on the grass and remember that you're part of something bigger, whatever circle you participate in the day-to-day, it will help align your power. It'll help remind you of all the things you've forgotten. So number 4, choose to walk away from the chaos and walk into nature. When we talk about grounding, it looks different for different people, depending on where you are and what climate is and all these different things, right? But in a nutshell, you want to be in nature. You want to be in where the sun can hit your face, where the wind can blow through your hair, where you can hear the birds singing, where the bees can land on you, where the butterflies are on the flowers. You want to be in nature. It is where we connect to source. It is where we fill our cup up. It is not dollars on a tree that make you feel fulfilled. It is not the car in your driveway. It is not the house that you live in. Because there are plenty of people that have lots of dollars and beautiful cars and big, beautiful homes. And inside, they are completely empty. They have completely disconnected themselves from source. So we invite you to walk in nature, whatever that looks like, even if it's for 5 minutes, to reconnect to our source creator's love. Step 5, choose to recognize your gifts, abilities, soul contracts, and soul lineage. When I was really waking up, and I had been on a spiritual journey for many, many years, but it was very frustrating because I was finding nothing but mistruth after mistruth after mistruth. And it made me feel rather alone on the journey. But when I realized that the voice I had been discounting was my higher self, and that the abilities that I had was exactly what I had been ignoring, telling myself that message is not for me, then I started to wonder, well, gosh, have I made choices in my life that brought me away from my soul contract? What is my soul? These are all very good questions to ask of yourself. And you figure out the answers by going within. There's nobody that's going to come along. I mean, we help our crew members in saying, this is what your soul, this is who your soul imprint is. This is the ascendant master that chose to help you with your guidance, to help you remember some of your past lives and things like that. But it's still a very individual journey. Everybody gets to decide on their own timetable and what they want to pull in. Now, for me, I was like, give it to me as hot, hard, and fast as you can. Like, I wanted to know the truth. I was on such a thirst for truth that it didn't really matter what the truth was. I wanted it. Even when it was painful, even whenever it was shocking, which most of the truth is shocking, I wanted it. I craved truth. And in the truth, I found my solace. I found my soul contract. I discovered why I realized I was never separated from source. In my mind, convinced myself I was separated from source. And so it is a journey that you have to decide multiple times a day to stay with, and stick with, and choose you. So when you choose to recognize your soul contract, you're also being asked, are you going to honor it? Is this a contract that you want to continue to honor? That's the free will choice of it all. That's that card that comes up. The future is not yet set in stone. We do contract our lives before we come here, but we have the free will choice to abort that mission. We can completely poo-poo our soul contract and say, nope, that's not for me anymore. I'm not doing it. We can choose negative AI. It's not a given. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. We want for every being that is a soul of source creator to honor that soul contract because it's for the greater good, and to be a part of the golden age of miracles, and to be there and ascend and do all the things. But I can't will it into existence. And you have to have a soul contract that takes you there, or negotiate it. Number 6, become an active participant in co-creating your highest and best timeline. You do that by asking throughout the day, is this in my highest and best good? Is this in my highest and best good? If you're just following the masses, you're going to end up making choices that are not in your highest and best good because the narrative is not in our highest and best good. So you need to really check in with your higher self every day and say, is this taking me down the path that I'm supposed to be on? And if not, you just course correct back to where you're supposed to be. And it's all good. But if you never check in and you keep just following the herd, so to speak, you may end up way off course. Number 7, act in your own best interest and commit to self-love, self-care, self-healing. There's a whole host of us that volunteer to come down and incarnate on this planet again to be healers. Now, some people want to take offense to the term healing because it makes it seem like you're ill or broken or whatever. But the fact is that growing up on this planet, we attract a lot of things that do break our flow of energy. And so you are broken in a sense. And it's up to you to determine how you want to put yourself back together. It doesn't have to be very, very difficult. It does take commitment and it takes energy and it takes time. And you can do it. It's up to you to decide to do it. I cannot do it for you. So when you commit to self-love, it means that you're going to give yourself the love, your inner child, the love that you're so willing to give to others. And that might mean being very uncomfortable. Some of us are not comfortable loving ourselves because we've never felt love worthy. Well, that's by design too. When you love yourself and you fill your own cup, fill your own heart with infinite love, it will overflow and ripple through your community. And people will just notice. You may not even say a word. Someone may come up to you and go, you know, I've been coming to this store for umpteen years and I've seen you several times. And I just have to say that you've never looked better. You've never looked happier. You're bright and you're glowing and all these things. And you can sit back and go, well, the only thing that changed is that I started giving myself some loving forgiveness and kindness and compassion. And you may not say that to that person. You may say it. You may use that opportunity to deliver a testimony. Your frequency is rising. Your frequency is felt, resonates. It ripples throughout the world. And so when you walk through the grocery store aisles, you're changing lives. You are elevating other people's frequency just with your own. That is how powerful we are. So the byproduct of all these choices is that you will start to take a better inventory of your life. And what that will look like is that you get rid of the things that have made you feel weak and small and less than and unworthy, and the things that make you feel like you're struggling. And you will understand that that struggle has been pushing you toward making better choices that give you the feeling of the flow, the energy flow. So whenever you love yourself and you respond in love from a space of love, that is going to empower you to do more of that, right? Oftentimes in my past, I didn't respond from a place of love. I respond from meanness. I responded vindictively. I responded physically in a negative way. And it left me feeling worse after than before. And so it is strictly up to us. That's how we co-create our reality. We get to choose how we're going to respond to all this chaos around us. Now, I'm not saying that bad things aren't happening, because they are. But there's a lot of good also coming from these orchestrated events. People are waking up and people are saying, this is not for me. This is not my reality. This is not the world I want to live in. And so when you change your own reality, byproduct of that is that you change other people's reality. You're leading in an example, a positive way that you never even thought possible for your own life. And so before you know it, you're actually being the change you want to see in the world. This is how you do it. It all starts with ourselves. So love bombing, sending out love, just love, love, love. Send love to all the places that are struggling to find their sovereignty. Send love to all the beings that are struggling to stay safe. Send love to all the people that are struggling to find out who they really are. Send love to those that found out that they were surrounded by a lot of people that are not in their highest best good. Love can never be the wrong answer. So I ask you today to make yourself a priority. Go back to what really truly resonates within your soul. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And take it one day at a time. Before you know it, you'll be a year down the road and your life will look a whole lot better than it used to. I hope that this message has helped you today, and I hope that you have a great day. See you next time.